The following podcast has been rated Listener MA. It contains strong language, violence, adult situations, nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Sportscast. I'm your host. My name is Scotty Gurman. Alongside me, as usual, I have two excellent stand-up comedians. First, I have the 1984 Kingman County T-Ball Defensive Player of the Year award winner, Mr. Jeremy Joseph.
Good Sunday to you, brother.
Yeah, it is what it is.
A rare Sunday recording for
That's
us.
right. And then we also have another excellent stand-up comedian from the Wichita area. We like to call him the Wreck, Mr. Derek Alders.
Morning, Scotty.
Morning, buddy. Hey, that's a normal hi. That's good.
Yeah, you don't like all my other ones.
No, I don't. But, guys, we got another guest on.
Except it's afternoon.
Oh,
But
yeah.
It's morning to me, okay?
fair enough.
That's true. Derek just woke up.
Yeah.
Well, we have a guest on again for the first time since Dave. So we now have the assistant general manager for the Wichita baseball team for 2020,
AAA affiliate.
AAA affiliate. We like Mr. Bob Moullette to come on. How's it going, Bob?
It's going well. Thanks for having me out here, first and
Yeah,
foremost. So,
sure.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming out.
Now, do you go by Bob or Bobby?
It's funny. So in Modesto, when I worked there, I was Robert.
Yeah.
Then I was Bob in New Orleans, and now it's Bobby Mo. So it just kind of always changes. So,
All right. So tell us, man. So you've got this great opportunity out here in Wichita.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that listen to us in other states and all the way around the United States, we live in Wichita, Kansas, which we are now getting a AAA baseball team that's on its way in. They are the New Orleans Baby Cakes. They're finishing up their season right now, and we will get them by April, I believe, of 2020, right?
yeah, April 14th, 2020 is opening day.
Awesome.
Wow.
So I got to ask you. So what's your story, man? You coming all the way out here? Where did you come from? How did you get to be doing this now?
Yeah. So my story is quite unique in the fact that I never started out in sports. I actually graduated from Fresno State. I'm originally from California.
Yeah.
Lived there most of my life, Central California. Modesto is where I grew up. Went to school at Fresno State, and then I graduated in 2008. Well, everyone knows December 2008, the recession. Hard
Yeah.
to get jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for this company you might have heard of called Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah, I used to model for them, actually.
Yep. So
For their big and tall line.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, their underwear.
Yep. I started out part-time, then started getting more hours, became a full-time stock, became overnight manager, and then became an assistant manager as I was going through it. So, I'd seen people graduating and, not finding jobs. So I had this job, it's full-time, it's got benefits, got to ride it out for as long as you can. You know? So I started like in 2002, I think, when I went down there. They call me the modern day Van Wilder.
Sure.
I
Yes.
had to experience everything that Fresno State had to offer.
Nice. Yeah.
So, I graduated, and I went ahead and decided to be assistant general manager. So then, not assistant general manager, assistant manager, right? So I moved down to the Southland, or La La Land, L.A., and worked, at a store there for about 6 months. Then I got promoted to my own store in Downey, California. So, I ran a store with 150 associates, had 5 managers, trained them. We kind of set the standard for, the look policy, all those types of things, weird things, at the time when you're doing it. So, I did that. It was fun, but I want to go bigger. So I moved to the East Coast, and I worked for the number one store in the company at 5th Avenue, New York.
Oh, wow, okay.
Wow.
So, you're going from 150 associates to 1,500 associates.
God
you have 30 managers. You have one regional manager that's just in that store. Everything that you do in that store sets the tone for all the other stores, right? So you're doing floor sets every other month, all that kind of stuff. So I was the merchandise systems manager at the time. And so my job was to go in about 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, and just audit the store. So, you can only have so many styles of clothes. But when you have four levels of a store, the square footage of the store is, 20, 40,000 square feet. you got to make sure that presentations are balanced. And,
Sure.
presentation at that time was very key for the brand. And so, I would go from the cellar at the bottom, go all the way to the top. Someone grabs something from the cellar, but they go up to the 4th floor and try it on. You got to try to make sure that stuff gets back down to the cellar.
Sure.
So, I did that. It was an awesome experience. I learned a lot from the corporate side of it, standards, things like that. But, I just didn't want to basically be 35 or 40 years old, and the only thing I know how to do is tell you what kind of folding board you should use.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I moved back to Los Angeles, and I got into internet marketing. So I worked for this company called Campus Explorer, which at the time was the nation's largest college search engine. So if you went on campusexplorer.com, and you typed in Wichita State, it would tell you all free demographics, right? Okay, well, 67% is female attendance. These are the programs they have. These are the scholarship funds. How they made their money was you're getting leads. So as you get leads, we would partner up with the for-profit universities like the DeVry's, University of Phoenix's.
The
and
good
we
schools.
Yes.
Ivy League of the internet.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where I played ball at. Was Brian.
Yeah. You're probably on the very first baseball team.
I
huh?
was.
Yeah.
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I did that and it was fun. And, I worked in Santa Monica, but I lived 24 miles away and it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get to work every day and back.
No, I'm
right?
out.
Yep.
Nope, not gonna do that.
So then, a couple things happened both professionally and personally that kind of gave me the opportunity to hit the reset button. And so at 28 years old, I called mom and dad and said, Mom, Dad, I need to come home. I got to switch some things around. I really want to get into sports. I think we're going to go for it. So I ended up moving at home at 28 years old. And I was just interviewing like crazy. Like, I interviewed for the New York Yankees. I interviewed for the Chicago Fire, like any sport possible, right? And I was just never getting there. Like I would always get to the last. I think the Diamondbacks, I was the last like top 4 candidates. And I was going to go out there and didn't make it, right? I'm just like, what the heck is going on? I have a lot of experience, applicable experience, and it just wasn't happening. So I ended up saying, okay, well, I got to go find a job and make money at this point in time.
Right.
So this dream is probably done. So I go to this job placement guy in Modesto, and that's the thing. The irony is I go back at 28 years old to the town I grew up in that I couldn't wait to leave, right?
Right.
So I go and I sit down with this guy, give him my resume, give him all the things I'm doing. I mean, we're talking, I'm a senior management, person.
Yeah.
You're talking internet marketing. Like I started working with Facebook ads before Facebook ads were Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And so the guy goes, dude, you have way too much stuff for what I can try to get you here. What do you really want to do? And I go, well, I would like to work in sports. And he's like, all right, well, have you tried the team in Modesto, which is they were the Modesto Athletics a long time ago, but they're the Modesto Nuts. So I was like, hey, I applied there. No, nothing happened. He goes, well, I know the GM. He owes me a favor. Give me your resume and I'll give it to him. And sure as heck, next week I get a call for an interview. Right? So I interview with the guy, and basically I find out the story is it's on the resume's on the general manager's desk, and he sees my last name. And, my last name is not very common.
No.
I think there's maybe like 20 Moulettes in the world.
I actually looked it up. I see it's French for business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, there you go. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
Yes. So he recognized my last name, and the reason why he recognized my last name was he was the director of public relations when I was a parking attendant. That was my very first job for the Modesto Athletics.
Wow.
So you talk about coming full circle. So then essentially I did an internship. Okay, the internship pay was every 2 weeks $350 flat.
Righteous.
Man,
Yeah.
big bucks.
Yeah, big bucks,
Yeah.
right? So as you can see, living with mom and dad really worked out.
Right.
So I'm working. I took this opportunity as like, hey, I got to do whatever it takes to get this done. So being able to take my experience in the retail area, I took over the merchandise, my experience in digital marketing, social media, I took over all that stuff. And this is at the time when like you could post something on Facebook and then like 15 million people would see it. Nowadays it's very difficult to do that. But so, you're taking a Facebook page that has 6,000 followers and getting 12,000 by the end of the season.
Yep.
Which is, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
So then, I just really worked hard. And then the next season, they brought me on full time. So I was the director of brand management. So, with it sounds weird, brand management, baseball, but your logos, the way that you do things in the community, that is your brand.
Yeah.
That's your brand
Absolutely.
image. So I ended up taking all that stuff on. And then, I worked there for about 3 seasons. Again, as I got more and more into it, feel like I was growing. I wanted another challenge. And so I started looking around for other, opportunities to go somewhere else. Maybe not doing everything I was doing in Modesto, maybe just doing a marketing or merchandise or something like that. So, my mom was she was a very big part of kind of helping me with this. So she'd be looking for jobs and stuff. And so she called me up and she's like, hey, there's a job for New Orleans. They're doing a rebrand. And the first thing I said is, why would I want to live in New Orleans? Right? So
Food.
Yep, the food. And you can carry a beer anywhere that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can do that here too. You just got to put it in a paper bag.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Like Scotty does with the to-go cup there.
Yeah.
So
It's vodka.
So then I ended up interviewing for the job. And I found it to be a pretty good fit. They reached out to me within 2 days. I flew out there. I interviewed and met the GM and then everyone else on the team. And I was like, all right, this is the fit. So then I ended up taking that job. So New Orleans, in 1998, the Shrine-On Airline, which is the stadium we're currently in right now, that was a booming place in 1998. After Katrina, baseball really just didn't come back. So that whole area over there was really supposed to be built up, right? It's not near downtown New Orleans area. It's actually in Metairie, which is right next to, it's right next to Orleans Parish. But so the way they kind of operated things there is, it's kind of a struggling franchise. As far as getting sponsors and stuff, one of the biggest things was, an NBA team came in there. So sponsorship dollars going from what was going to be the baseball team goes to the NBA.
Right.
And it makes sense if from a sponsorship standpoint, you're on, TBS, TNT twice a week. What are you going to do? Sure. So things are kind of going down and down and down. Attendance was dipping. They had a merchandise store and I would be perfectly honest with you, your studio here is bigger than the merchandise store.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
That was there originally. So
Studio's not big, kids.
yeah. So
Camera tricks.
Right.
so then I go, I get there October 11th and we're going to unveil November 15th. So as merchandise is coming in, I'm ordering merchandise, but also keep in mind building a 1,200 square foot store at the same time while keeping everything hidden. Stuff comes in, you got to get it in the inventory, put it back in the box, tape it up, put it in a locked area. So I just kind of hustled to get, everything ready to go for this store. And this is the biggest store that the Shrine-On Airline ever had, right? Because they had a little shoebox upstairs. So, we're doing that. The unveil hits. And then all of a sudden, the craziest thing happens. I look at the online, and keep in mind, too, there wasn't an online store for the Zephyrs. So we had to set that up as well. Now that comes all out of your regular inventory. You don't have like a, department store you can go to or anything like that.
Right.
And so after the, at 5 p.m. hits, we unveil. It's online. I got a new phone. I think I got the iPhone 7 like 2 weeks before, so I didn't know how to turn off the notification. So every time I got an email, so things buzzing, right? So I'm looking at the orders and I'm going through the mail for the first time. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, we got, 20 online orders. Real cool. Yeah, awesome. So, we're celebrating. It was a great day. It was a great unveil. It was one of the most exciting days of my life as far as a career goes. And so I look at the online orders the next day at the end of the day, and we had 400 online orders.
Jeez.
So you're talking, this isn't items, this is orders.
Yeah.
So we're talking 600-700 items
Wow.
just online alone. Then people are coming in the store. the one thing that we will make sure that we do this time that we did not do, we will have enough USPS boxes. So literally every person on staff was tasked to go within a 25-mile radius and raid the the U.S. Postal Service stores to get every box that we could get. It was just crazy. So, then the success of the brand was awesome. In 14 months, we did over $750,000 in revenue in merchandise alone.
Wow.
So, that really helped us, as far as bringing in revenue for the club, getting excitement. Within 2 months, we had pretty much every state had purchased, a baby cakes item, whatever that may be. So, as that went, and this is as my story keeps going.
Sure.
Opportunities kind of come and go, right? So we had a promotions guy. He started, and he really only lasted like a month into the season. Well, I did promotions, in-game promotions in Modesto. So as the merchandise machine was really, it was a well-oiled machine. I had the right people there. I went to Cookie, who was the GM, and said, hey, I wouldn't mind taking over the promotions. I think we're good with merchandise. I'll always make sure I keep an eye on it. But, when I hire people, I hire them to be able to just go do what they need to do best, give them a little feedback and everything like that. So then I took the promotions, and that went well. We started kind of change and turn the corner there. And then at the end, I think in fall of 17, they asked, hey, we want to promote you to assistant general manager. So I was like, of course, because that's always what I wanted to be. I wanted to be eventually a GM, eventually a president. And I felt like I had done my time and I know a lot. And so I got that opportunity to do that. And so 2018, I just spent the entire, basically being the director of brand management again, overseeing marketing, overseeing promotions, overseeing merchandise, pretty much everything to run the facility besides, the operations part of it or the maintenance and all that kind of stuff. And so I did that, and, I was expecting to stay in New Orleans until the end of this season. Then when I get a call and they said, hey, we need you in Wichita in 3 weeks. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So then I do that, and move here. And obviously I've been here for a couple months. So that's kind of where we are. So long story. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Bear with me. But that's not your normal A to B. Most people are like, hey, I'm going to go get in sports, and they just go get into sports. So getting, not one chance, but two chances to start over.
I have a nephew who's actually would like to get into professional sports team management, upper management. And he's been putting in his resume with Banana Republic, and I'm telling him, you're going the wrong route. Abercrombie and Fitch is where you need to go.
That's exactly where you need to go.
And I knew where you were going when you started the story. Yeah. I've heard it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
No, that is, because that is a very good point. If you were to go to like a high school counselor and say, I want to be an accountant or a mechanic, or sure, they can advise you on that, but if you wanted to say, I want to be the general manager of a professional sports team, they would look at you blank face. They wouldn't.
Sure.
That's not a typical career.
Yeah.
How would you even get started? That is really very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you'd mentioned like wanting to get in. You said you put in everywhere, the Diamondbacks, the Yankees, the Chicago Fire, things like that. So was it, obviously it wasn't just baseball you were looking at.
Sure.
Are you a baseball fan in general, or?
Yeah, so baseball is my number one passion.
Okay.
I've always loved it. I mean, when I was 5 years old, I was taking my glove and my bat anywhere you can go. Anything I visualize could be a baseball field. But to get into the industry, I was open to do whatever. And I think that's what you have to do, right?
Sure.
You got to give yourself as many opportunities as you can. Once you get that opportunity, you can start to kind of streamline where you eventually want to go.
Right. Were you, so growing up in California, were you Dodgers or Padres?
I was either of those. So I Northern California, San Francisco, or Oakland.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So most of the time I rooted for both teams. I had a big Giants affiliation. Especially when Bonds was there. But I kind of had a falling out with San Francisco because I felt like at a point in time they refused to continue to get better,
Yeah.
And then so I kind of fell out of love with the game for a little bit, especially after the strike.
Yeah.
As a young kid, and you're like, wait, they're not playing baseball anymore.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So my affiliation, my team now is I'm a Red Sox fan.
Are you?
So
Okay.
I'm talking Nomar Garcia-Parra. We're talking Mo Vaughn.
Nobody's
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
One of my best friends is a Red Sox fan, and he loves Mo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then just there's so much history, and I think that's what kind of brought it back for me, right? I mean, look, Wrigley Field, you go there, go Busch Stadium.
Yeah.
Those are good baseball towns, obviously. And
Busch
then
isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Really?
It's got that stupid arch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
But
half a
right in your
McDonald.
view, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you take those fan bases, you take the Yankees fan base, you take the Red Sox fan base. That's baseball.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's what it is. You go to any of those games at any time, and like it's a rocking place. I mean, I'll go to Wrigley. I thought it was awesome. I'm expecting to get to Busch, this summer or at least next year.
I'll go with you.
Yeah. So let's do it. But yeah, just going to Fenway for the first time,
I want
walking
to.
in those gates, and just kind of seeing the history, and I'm a history guy, right? I've watched that Ken Burns baseball.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
thing. I own it. I must have watched that a million times, right?
Yeah.
I mean, baseball's always on. My GM, Jared Forma, he was over hanging out, and he goes, "So do you just watch any baseball game possible?" I was like, "Yeah, pretty much."
Yeah.
I mean, if the Red Sox are playing, then yeah, of course I want to watch them over anyone else. But I mean, it just really just love the game, so it couldn't have worked out better, right?
Well, and
That's
until
awesome.
last 10, 15 years, Red Sox. I mean, it wasn't always easy to get everybody's games. I mean,
Sure.
even around here, the Royals games were on once a week, maybe.
Yeah.
Fox might have them on, and then they started showing them every day.
Yeah.
And then they got good, and then ratings really went up, and now I think the ratings are really tanking. But
Yeah.
but that kind of be expected. People come and follow a winner, and for 30 years they had nothing to root for.
Of
and
course.
then all of a
Right.
sudden,
Well, I was
2 years in a row.
surprised, and it makes sense. Is there's actually a lot of Cubs fans down in the South, and I was like, why is that even possible?
WGN.
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because even in California, those are the games you were getting.
Yep. Cubs and then the
Cubs and
Braves on
Braves.
TBS.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yep.
remember that. I remember
So-
watching the Braves.
Yeah, so it was those two, and you see them all the time. So,
Which was odd because you had Harry Carey for the Cubs.
Yeah.
And then Skip Carey for the Braves.
Chip.
Chip. No, it was Skip was the son, and then Chip's the grandson.
Okay, I
That
was
does
like-
it now. Skip Carey was the son. He's dead now, too. Couldn't have been more polar opposites.
Oh, yeah.
As far as their personality. I mean, you'd never thought the two were even related.
Yeah.
Because Skip was about as boring as it got. Harry, you never knew where his commentary was going to go. He might be talking about the barbecue joint across the street
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a triple play.
So anyway, so now you're in Wichita. You said you've been here for a couple months.
Yep.
So what's the overall feel? Are you being welcomed fairly well? Everybody seemed to be pretty nice, welcoming you in.
Yeah, well, I think very welcoming.
Yeah.
I think the excitement for the ball club coming in is most people have been super excited about it coming in.
Absolutely.
And I think, when you get to see that every day, being in New Orleans for, 2.5 years and kind of seeing where that's going. And then you got people who want to come to baseball games. And
Yeah.
are excited
Yeah.
they're going to be there. And, I mean, and it's not a knock on New Orleans, but, that's a football town.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
You're Saints all the way. I've been to Saints games in the Dome. It's crazy. I don't know if I would be able to have that be an equivalent for another NFL team as far as that atmosphere in the Dome, especially when they're going on their runs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
And then you got LSU, right? I mean, LSU
Sure.
football is huge. LSU baseball is huge. I mean, that's one of the few collegiate programs that actually makes a profit. But it's not the same as football or basketball where all those are guaranteed scholarships. You only get 13 scholarships for baseball, right? So that's the difference. But again, everyone just so welcoming, so excited.
Yeah.
I think the best part about it is we're not just excited about baseball. We're excited about what that riverfront area is going to look like in 10 years.
Yeah.
My wife and I just went down to that Delano district yesterday. I don't go down there near enough, and I should, because there is some cool stuff down
Yeah.
there. And from what I understand, they're going to be building some
Yeah.
very cool new shops coming up, too.
Yeah.
They have an axe throwing
Yep.
place down
I
there.
knew you were going to say that. Yeah.
Loved the idea of
It's
going
fun.
and throwing an axe.
It's fun.
Yeah, you only get 3 beer max though. So
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so you can only drink 3 beers, and then
There.
after your 3, but
yeah.
then they cut you off.
Yeah.
Or-
Just on the beers, but you can
Yeah,
cut
you
you.
can-
I like your pun there. Cut you off.
It's
caught it.
It's $20 per person for 90 minutes of throwing axe. I'm gonna guess I'd be worn out after 10 minutes because that just That looks like one of those things that you wouldn't think would wear you out, but I bet you that would be exhausting
Yeah,
for
yeah.
a while.
We suck at cornhole. We got to get into axe throwing, Jeremy.
And by the way, that's 3 more beers than they'll let you take to the shooting range.
Exactly. But anyway, so you're what is your day to day here now? I hear you're basically on the grounds every single day.
Yeah.
Just watching the stadium being built.
Yeah, so our trailers, and you guys should definitely come by, and we'll take you out on a site tour and everything.
That'd be
like
great.
that'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool.
You know, the trailers are right there. So, you know, we had trailer 1. We just got trailer 2. I got moved to trailer 2, which I actually like. It's a lot more quiet.
Yeah, trailers in Wichita. I mean, you're right at home.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Really?
so you know, as we get closer to opening day, you know, it's not just a sales component. Operations are going to start coming in, right? So
Yeah.
you got to think about, you know, we've got to think about staffing. We got to think about, hey, the schedule once it gets announced in the middle of next month, you know, what are we going to do promo days?
Sure.
So it's kind of starting that process up.
Yeah.
You know, when I first got here, we got into, you know, I went to almost every school district and met with the superintendents because we're going to be doing a reading program. So I'm trying to get
cool.
feedback and everything like that. So it's really like day to day, just anything that we kind of need to get done. You know, I mean, as this branding starts getting closer and closer, there's going to be things that we're going to need to do to execute from a marketing standpoint, from a merchandise standpoint, and all that. So that's kind of really the day to day. You kind of got to have your head on the swivel,
Yeah.
you know, because you'll be starting this, and then all of a sudden they'll want you to go do this, or you'll need to do this. So, yeah, I mean, as we get closer, it's just it's you pretty busy, you know, and then
Yeah.
obviously coming to things like these and stuff, I think it's important as well. So I did the Sunrise Scrambler for the chamber, I think about a month ago, where I was one of the panelists on social media.
Okay.
So just kind of talking about it and stuff like that. And by all means, I don't think I'm an expert on social media, but they thought I was. You know, so I just kind of gave them some things that we're doing. But you know, it's going to those things and being visible in the community. So I don't know if you guys got to see this or got to hear it. I got to coach League 42.
Oh, really?
You know, this year, and so I felt bad for all guys and girls in NOLA, because when you work the baseball schedule, you're there at 8:30 in the morning and you leave the minute the gate's locked, right? So these guys are working 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row, and I get to go home at 5 if I want to. So I figured, hey, I'm not going to get the opportunity to do this next year, so let's get out into the community and let's go do something. So I, you know, connected with Bob Lutz, and he got me in the program. So, you know, you're doing their 9 to 5, then you're doing your practice, then you're doing your games. We just actually recently did a U13 showcase, the first time that League 42 did it. So you got practices for that. So yeah, I mean, you're just kind of running
That's
around,
awesome,
you know.
dude. That's really cool.
Now, what were some of your favorite promotions that you ran in New Orleans?
You know, Star Wars night is always a good night.
Yeah.
Superheroes is always a good one. One of the promotions I like the most, because I'm really big on the community, is we did a kids takeover. And so how it worked, and I think we're going to probably do something similar here, is we put out on social media and our email news blast, and we said, hey, if you're interested in working with us for a day, please have your mom or dad send a letter in why, and then we'll interview you. And so what we did was I interviewed 25 kids and just asked them crazy questions. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite this, or whatever it was, just to kind of, so, you know, kids, mom and dad's the one that want them to do it more than they do.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so mom's walking in, dragging the kids. So you got to kind of lighten the, so what they did was they actually, for the night, we got them shirts, we got them hats, we got them their own name tags and everything like that. They shadowed us during a game.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's
So
neat.
the operations guy had 2-3 kids with him. You know, I had 2-3 kids with me. Took them up to the radio booth. One of them, we got them on TV. The other one got to announce the players, like all those things. So I really like that one, because you see how proud the parents are, because they're the ones that are going to go and tell everyone about it, right? So I think we'll probably do something similar to that. We're doing a Stranger Things night.
Sweet.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
in.
Yeah, so we're giving away a hat, and if you go on the Baby Cakes website, so it's a dude with the shag hair. You know, he's got that red, white, and blue kind of truckerish hat.
Yep.
It doesn't have
Yep.
anything. So what we did is with the, you know, because of copyright, we put NOLA in the upside down with the same font.
That's cool.
Right?
That's cool.
So something that people would want. We did a bobblehead giveaway, so it's the Legends of NOLA giveaway. And so Fats Domino, who was a big jazz musician down there, he passed away last year. You have Steve Gleason, and Steve Gleason's got a trophy in front of the dome. And you know, when Katrina hit, as Saints football started to come back, he made a key block against the Falcons that basically said, hey, Saints football is back, right? He unfortunately suffers from ALS, so he's not as mobile, but he's out. They have the Gleason Foundation, so we did a figurine, not a bobble, right? Because it's obviously ALS.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
So
It's like a Michael J. Fox bobble.
Yeah, exactly.
God, and I remember that game. It was a Monday night game, if I recall right.
Yep.
Falcons Saints. It was the first game back in the Dome.
Yep.
And Falcons had just been to the NFC Championship game the year before and were heavy favorites. And the Saints came out and just kicked the shit out of them. It was, I mean, and just the raw emotion.
Yeah.
I listened to it on the radio. I was working second shift at the time.
Yeah.
I listened to it on the radio, and I could just feel the emotion coming through the speakers.
Yeah.
Even, of it was such a special game.
Yeah.
And so you were there through Katrina?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
So, I got there in 2016.
Okay.
2005
Okay.
is when it happened. But, I asked as many people about it who live it. So my girlfriend, she lived through Katrina. Her house got flooded. She had to go to LSU for a while. Her house was so flooded, I don't think they even went back into it. Wow. And my roommate, same thing. His parents had a house, right where the levee broke. And so just kind of learning more about that. And like you said, that's the reason why I was so emotional, because the Superdome during that time, that was housed a bunch of people.
That's where they put them, yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of people died. And stuff. And it was really a bad scene.
Yeah, I believe it was the worst natural disaster to happen to the United States at that time. Now, obviously, Harvey happened a few.
I had something similar happen to me where I got water in my basement a few months ago. So I know what it's all about.
Yeah.
So
Jeremy problems.
So then the third bobblehead or figurine is like the Natchez Steamboat. So it's a steamboat that is an iconic steamboat that goes on the Mississippi, right, on the West Bank. It's weird how the river goes. Uptown is actually not uptown, because usually uptown is usually north of downtown, but uptown here is like southwest of downtown, just the way the river bend goes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So what you do is you'll get those figurines, but on the actual base of it, if you put them together, it actually has the greater New Orleans neighborhoods.
Oh, neat.
It. So you have to get them. You have to collect them all if you want every neighborhood that you want, right? So if you're in Uptown or you're in Midtown or you're in the CBD, you got to get the Fats Domino one. If you want to get something that's in the Trem neighborhood, you got to get the Steamboat. So I thought it was really cool, and I stole it. And the thing is, minor league baseball, we all steal each other's ideas, right? So the Red Sox, they do that win, dance, repeat with their outfilders, right? You got Benintendi, Betts, and Bradley Jr. Well, Portland Sea Dogs, which is a Red Sox affiliate, AA Red Sox affiliate, they did a bobblehead trio of those guys, and they connected together, so they're all doing their moves as if we can see.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, let's do something similar to that, but we don't have to stay player-centric. Let's do something that people would want and have pride in their city, so we collected that together. So it turned out to be a pretty good one. Again, it gave us an idea of some of the things that we might be able to do here. So
Nice.
You were talking about the kids takeover. Did you see the video on the? I think I saw it on Facebook not long ago. Of the kid that took the pitcher out of the game.
Oh,
no.
yeah. I did see that.
Yeah, as a little guy, he's probably 7, 6,
if that.
And he looked like he was the coach.
Yeah.
And he had the jersey and everything
Yeah.
on, and he walks out there, and they've got the catcher, the pitcher. I think third base, first base is in there. The whole infield's in there. And he takes the pitcher out, and then he walks around in a circle and slaps them all.
Yeah.
And walks back to the dugout.
I mean,
Did he signal the ping? Give me lefty.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great experience, but I mean, I think we won up that. We had the kids hold the hose while you were watering the field.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine
They can do that for my lawn, too, if they want to.
I would have to
do that.
imagine, especially with minor league baseball, and this is not a slight against minor league baseball, but with Major League Baseball, people are going to come out and watch it because it's Major League, especially when they win. That's really the key. Minor leagues, you get a winning team together, that's not always the best sign because all those guys are trying to go somewhere else.
Sure.
So that usually means they're not going to be around much longer.
Yep.
So it's probably fairly tough, isn't it, to get people to come out and support a team of players that aren't going to probably be there next year.
And that's why, I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, that's why it's important to establish a strong brand. Right? When we did the name we came in January, and I think we met with about 300 people about kind of name suggestions and thoughts, just to learn more about Wichita, right? Because we can't come in here and never sight unseen like, okay, this is what it is, because, but we, what we told them was, regardless of what the name is, it's your brand commitment to the people who are going to be supporting you that matters the most. People don't buy Nike because of the swoosh. Maybe some people do, right? But there's something out there socially that they might be aligned with, right?
Sure.
So for us, the community, we need to make sure that we are in the community. We're doing League 42. We're at the kids. We're doing all those things. And I think that's what minor league baseball is all about. It's really, that's the power of the brand and the commitment to you. Like, hopefully you come to the game and you have a memory, right? You ask 95% of fans who come to a minor league baseball game what happened in the middle of the fifth inning, they're not going to know. Right. But whenever I talk to anyone and tell them, hey, I'm with the baseball team, they always tell me about that one cool experience that happened. We got on the video board. My son got to throw the first pitch. My son got to meet the players, those things. Those are what is the most important for us to be, drive it, regardless if they're good or not. And winning helps.
Right.
Of course.
Oh, sure.
But like you said, you can't fall in love with these guys and really market them because they could be gone tomorrow.
Sure.
Right.
I feel very sorry for the actual managers of the team.
Sure.
Because they're trying to build they're trying to win baseball games.
Of course.
And show that they're good managers. And as soon as they get the guys good enough, they take them.
Yeah.
They
But that's also a testament to them too.
Oh, sure.
Because they're trying to win games, but the most important is obviously the development, right?
Players,
being able to work with Arnie Baylor, who was our manager in New Orleans, who's now the first base coach of the Baltimore Orioles. He won he won a World Series ring with the Red Sox when he was the bench coach with them. Just seeing kind of how he does things on an everyday basis with the players, what's the most important, I remember being when I was in Modesto, when we were a Rockies affiliate, we had some good pitchers, but they would shut them down after 5 innings.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if they're throwing a no-hitter or a perfect game, they're shutting them down. And so you have to combat that with really pushing the brand.
Yeah.
What do you think about like what they're doing in the minors, such far as they're making it kind of a test ground, like such far as maybe doing I don't think it's minors, I think it's independent. They're talking about stealing first base. And then like the electronic umpires pitching, balls and strikes and things like that. Yeah. How are you a fan of it? Like how they try it out there and they kind of use it as a testing ground, or?
So there's obviously some things that are great and some things that are not great. So in minor league baseball, there's a pitch clock. Mm-hmm. So you don't have Clay Buchholz going up there taking 91 seconds per pitch,
right?
And it speeds up the game. Another thing they do. In minor league baseball is extra innings. They start with a runner on second.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And to the baseball purists, and here's the thing, I don't think that's ever going to get to the major league level. The players union is probably not going to want to do something like that. But for what we're doing, it makes the most sense.
Sure.
And you think about it, if you play an 18-inning game, and this happened to us in Modesto, I didn't realize how much it affects the entire system, right? So you play an 18-inning game. Right, obviously it's late. We didn't even shoot the fireworks off. It was that late. But then what happens is you burn 2 pitchers, so now you got to put them on the DL. Now you got to call
two guys up from AA.
2 guys up from AA. And then you got to send 2 guys down, and it starts to actually be a little expensive.
Wow,
based on the game that doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? So, and that's the thing is like, they want to teach them to compete, but those are the things you have to take into consideration. So I think once they implemented the extra innings in 2018, there was maybe 2 games that went past the 15th inning or something like that.
Right.
And there was maybe like 10 games that went past the 11th inning. So I think in interest of what minor league baseball is about, those rules are great. I think you'll see the pitch clock, maybe not in 5 years, maybe not in 10 years, but I see 15, 20 years, there'll be a pitch clock in MLB.
Do you see pitch clock or DH universal coming first?
I would see probably DH coming first if that's how they kind of want to do it. But again, we're so traditional with the game.
Yeah,
Jeremy hates that. Right? Jeremy hates that.
I'm an American League guy, and I hate the designated.
So, and look, they're looking at it, like you said, that's independent ball.
The first bases,
yeah. So I think the bases are 14 inches. They're making them 18 inches. They'll have the umpire-assisted strike zone. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I love the human element of the strike zone because I think is how you play it is it's kind of like in life, and that's why I always say the reason why I love baseball is because, you know, baseball really is kind of the model for what, you know, at the time the American dream is, right? There's 6 levels of minor league baseball that you have to play before you can even go to the major leagues.
Yeah.
And 90% of those dudes never make it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a testament to how much you have to grind it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Now, take the umpires, for example, okay? You might have one strike zone one day that's this, and you have one that's that. But that's life. You have to deal with it, and you have to adjust on swivel.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I love the pitchers that are able to see, okay, you've got Hernandez behind home plate who's calling a high outside strike, so I am going to use and abuse that all game long, and it's a really tough pitch to hit.
Sure.
And he'll just sit there, and he'll gun down guy after guy after guy coming out, and it's a ball. It is a ball, but
Yeah.
but then again, it's Angel Hernandez, so
Yeah.
you know, screw it.
And it's just something you have to deal with. You know? I
Yeah,
mean,
but that's part of the game. That's
Yep.
part of the reason that you have so many people like us that are so obsessed with it and love watching it. It's because we kind of know and grasp onto those things that a lot of people that don't pay attention to the sport may not know.
Sure.
You know?
And I had said one other time on this show, if you follow a team start to finish of the season, you can see exact moments where the whole season will start to take a turn.
Yep.
Or where they'll go on a big losing skid. You can, not just to a game, but you can peg it down to a play or even maybe a pitch.
Yep.
Where should have been a strikeout that they called it a walk.
Yeah.
And that led to a landslide.
Steve Bartman.
You take, and it's funny that you say that because I was able to when I was back home, I was able to watch the Giants go all the way through to win the World Series.
Yeah.
Right, my sister had worked for the Royals a long time ago. She's able to get the playoff sleeve, so I got the tickets at the cost.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
God.
So, but think about it. That moment that Hunter Pence, they're down 0-2 to Cincinnati in Cincinnati, and Hunter Pence just lights it up on everyone. Mm-hmm. That turned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do that, they don't win.
No.
Posey
No.
doesn't hit the home run.
Yeah.
They don't go back. They don't win Game 5.
Yep.
You know, and then even look, St. Louis, that was a tough St. Louis team, and then that Game 7. I mean, at the end there, that series right there. If they don't turn the corner like you're saying, they don't walk right all over Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Detroit wins in what? I think they sweep.
Yeah.
Or they win in 5, so
Yeah.
they're sitting there for 2 weeks. The Giants had to grind every single game and played in every single elimination game
Yep.
until the World Series. Those are the turning points.
And I like to point, even though it worked out in my team's favor, I'm a Royals fan. 85 World Series,
Yeah.
Game 6, 9th inning. George Orta for the Royals comes up to bat, hits a little squibber to the shortstop. It's a slow throw, beats him out at first base, but Don Dinkinger, the umpire, called him safe.
Yep.
Now, would have just been the first out of the inning. Orta was later thrown out at third base, so he never even scored.
Yeah.
But it just led to this
Yeah.
downslide.
Yeah.
And
The,
it's,
the wild card game
yeah.
where they teed off on Lester, who was just
Yeah.
dominant all year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a one moment that really didn't actually make the difference in the game.
Sure.
But it led to the mentality of
Yeah.
everybody.
Well-
They fell apart.
Bill Buckner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Red Sox are, they're going to win, right?
Yeah.
Bob Costas is literally in the Red Sox clubhouse thinking this is going to be the first time in recorded history that we're going to be celebrating a Red Sox World Series championship. And then they take everything down, and he never goes back into the clubhouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The Mets had actually put up on their scoreboard, congratulations, Boston.
Yep.
And yeah, that was a weird deal. Now, if he'd have made that play, it would have sent it into extra innings. Actually, that would have been the last out.
Sure.
They had tied it at that point, and I'm not sure that he would have beaten him back to first base.
We talked about that on the show. Yeah, it would have been a tough play.
Because his knees were bad. Too.
Sure, but I think that it goes back to the play not being made that just deflates.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that was
Everything in-
Game 6.
Yep.
There was another game to go. They still had a chance to come out and win Game
Sure.
7, and they didn't.
That's why I bring up that Bartman play. Same thing. That was Game 6. And I remember I was watching that game in Ohio, and my mom's like, "They got another game." I'm like, "You don't understand. Okay? It's done."
Yeah, because then after that, the fielding errors, all those
yeah.
things, it's just demoralizing.
It's a snowball effect. That's what it is.
And that's the thing with this game, right? And it's like you tell these kids, you have to have a short memory, but when you have to take one like that, that's difficult to sometimes overcome. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that phrase that you have to have a short memory in baseball, and this all of a sudden I've got 6 memories that just go bing, 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 bing. Yeah. Anyway, so this team that we're talking about, that you're the assistant GM of, we're going to be in the Pacific Coast League.
Yes.
Right, and I want to talk a little bit about that because I see a lot of prime candidates for rivalries from where we're from.
Sure.
Because I think an episode ago I actually misspoke. I said the Oklahoma City Redhawks. That was actually years ago. Now they're the Oklahoma City Dodgers.
Yep.
They play in the same stadium that I was talking about, so beautiful, but the Oklahoma City Dodgers. And I think that's going to be a really, really good rivalry for us.
Sure.
Because it's always been like that in Wichita. We always have a rivalry with Tulsa and any other Oklahoma team.
Yeah.
So where's the competition at with this league? I mean, how many teams are there? How many teams are there divisions? How does this work?
So there's 16 teams.
Okay.
There's 4 divisions of 4.
Okay.
So, you have your north, south, east, and west divisions. I'm not 100% on the details on that, how it works. But
Sure.
essentially, the division winners, they'll win, they'll play, off, and then they'll have a championship game for the PCL. And then whoever wins the PCL actually plays the winner of the independent league game in a one-game take-all playoff.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's
Oh.
a national championship game. It's usually on ESPN or one of the major, or ABC or something like that.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
So that's how that works, but that's a one game, right? It's not 7.
right, yeah.
I mean, you're getting down to where, it's AAA, AA, and these guys, if they're going, they're probably September call-ups, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Unless you're trying to hold service time.
sure,
and- yeah.
exactly. So so that's usually kind of what happens. The playoffs are obviously exciting to make the playoffs, but it's not that same mentality as it is in MLB, right? If you're in that, that playing
Yeah.
game or something like that, it's just a lot different, right?
Yeah,
'Cause-
absolutely.
The PCL also a lot of history.
Yeah.
I know. At one time, they called them the major leagues on the East Coast because traveling beyond the Rockies was not easy. They were basically the major leagues of the West Coast.
Yeah.
At one time back. Oh God.
Yeah, long time
back,
ago. Yeah.
Babe
West
Ruth
Coast, you
days
mean?
or the West Coast, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically the Rockies, or was it Mississippi, was more the dividing.
Yeah, I think it was more in the Mississippi. Everything from the east. That's pretty much where all the teams
Right.
were, like you said, right? And that's kind of what it was. I mean, the Padres were in the Pacific Coast League as a AAA team before they became a major league team, right?
Yeah.
So it really took San Francisco and it took LA to get out there to really kind of open up
Right.
kind of the board. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a bunch of teams. There's a bunch of history on Pacific Coast. And it literally was on the Pacific Coast, right? Pacific Coast, and I'm down on the Gulf Coast,
Yeah, right. And now you're in a landlocked state.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, the one thing about the Pacific Coast League that's different from the International League is the travel. They fly 75% of the time, right? International League, a lot of the teams are close, so they can bus.
Yeah.
So that travel schedule is it's a grueling schedule.
I believe it.
You're going from Tacoma to New Orleans, and you're playing 3 games, and then you got to go to Fresno. And they do a good job of, if we are out in the West Coast, and we don't play all those teams as much as we'll play within our same division, just like
Right.
Major League Baseball. But, you'll see every other year, you'll see Sacramento or Fresno come to town. And then you'll go there the other year like that. So when they do go and play, Sacramento, usually they'll play a 4-game series, and then they'll play a 3-game series against Fresno to try to keep it all kind of the same.
Now MLB, it's 162 games in 180 days. What is minor league?
Oh,
AAA?
70, I think.
140, so 70 home games.
Yeah.
70 home games.
Yep.
Okay, 140 games still.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a lot.
Yeah,
Jeez.
that's a
And
grind.
I really want to drive home to anybody listening that AAA baseball, these guys are one step from
Yeah.
the major leagues.
Yep.
And it's something I think when the Wranglers were in town that people took for granted.
Yeah.
At one time, you could have seen on one team Johnny Damon, Carlos Beltran, Jermaine Dye, Raul Ibanez, and Mike Sweeney
Yep.
come, and you could have had access
Yep.
to these guys,
Yeah.
gotten autographs from all of them. And it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be the same thing here. Only
Sure.
these guys are yet another step closer.
Yeah.
These are gonna
Literally
be
one
future-
step away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's probably going to be some future superstars come through Wichita that you might not ever have a chance to see them again.
Well, and take this into consideration. Say we're playing Salt Lake, and I hope this never happens, but if it did happen, it'd be pretty cool. And Anaheim is in KC, and Trout has to rehab.
Yeah.
He could be in our building.
You can see Trout. Yeah.
And the fact that you can see arguably probably the best player in the history of the game for a $15 ticket.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
That's, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, you drive home a good point there is that, you get a chance to see these guys before they usually hit big.
Kimbrel was
That's why I was pointing at you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kimbrel he was just in AAA before it's getting tuned up for a couple weeks before he started, and you had access to Kimbrel for nothing.
Yeah.
So and he signed.
Yeah.
So
and I'll tell you the one thing that I thought is pretty cool is when those big leaguers come down, they really do a good job with the fans.
Do they?
And they
Good.
actually do a
Good.
good job with the guys too. So especially in Single A, when we get some of the Rockies guys, like when John Gray made it, he came through Modesto, but he was rehabbing. He buys everyone, everyone in the clubhouse their meal, right? I mean, he takes care of them and does all that kind of stuff because, you're Single A, you're just kind of, you want the potato salad,
Right.
and he goes to Texas Roadhouse and takes care of everyone. I think that's what's really cool when you see those guys because those guys remember I was you.
Yeah.
And I remember when that guy took care of me, so I want to do the same thing.
That's
Gray
awesome.
was the 3 pick, I think, after Bryant, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It went Mark Apple and then Bryant, then Gray.
Yeah.
But next thing I want to get into is with our team, we're going to be, I believe we haven't talked about this yet, but we're going to be affiliated with the Marlins. Did we talk about that yet?
Not quite. No.
I
Okay.
have mentioned it.
So I've been told that the affiliation with the Marlins actually also does expire.
Yes.
Okay, which I believe is the same year that we start. Is that also
So
correct?
it'll be at the end of the 2020 season.
End of the 2020 season.
Yep.
Okay, so what do you think is going to happen with that?
So, it's hard to really say what happens with the PDC game, and that
Right.
PDC is player development contract. So every minor league baseball team signs into a player development contract with a major league team, regardless if the major league team owns the minor league team or not, right? So how it works is it's usually a 2 or 4 year contract, and it's always even. There's never overlap, so that at the end of 2020, if for some reason Miami wants to go somewhere else, we will still have a team that will be here. So we'll never be pushed out
Okay.
to where we won't have a major league affiliate, right?
Okay, that's
So,
cool.
Prime example is Fresno. So Fresno was a Astros affiliate for about 4 years, and then that player development contract ended. The Astros ended up going to Nashville, and so Fresno ended up being Nationals affiliate. So you got Fresno, California, you got Washington, D.C. So those things can happen.
Okay.
The biggest thing with the PDC for the major league players, and we're talking a little bit before we started, for the major league teams, is it's the facilities.
Yes.
It's all those types of things. So, we could be a Marlins affiliate for, 2 more years, 4 more years, or 8 more years, depending on what it is. But, maybe one day St. Louis, they don't want to be in Memphis anymore.
Which would be crazy.
That
That would be crazy because I can't even remember the last time that they weren't affiliated with Memphis.
Sure. Now, they have ownership stakes, so as
Sure.
you start having ownership stake into the teams, I think you're going to probably be more along the lines of what you are. Example of that was we're Rockies affiliate from 2005 all the way until 2017. But then Seattle bought 51% of the Modesto franchise, so now they're a Seattle affiliate. So
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
those things will happen like that. But yeah, I mean, we can be a Marlins affiliate for a long, long time, depending on how the two parties decide they want to, go about it, or we can be another affiliate. And I don't have any idea of what
Sure.
affiliates could be there or not. I mean,
Well, all I was saying was because it makes sense them like Miami being affiliate with New Orleans. I mean, they're they're not that far away.
Yeah.
But now you're giving me other examples where they're all their affiliated team is all the way across the United States, so
Sure.
it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was just curious to see if that's even a possibility or what may happen, I guess.
yeah, and
But-
you never know, what will happen in 4 years with the affiliation game, as we like to call it.
Sure,
you know?
and we were talking about on one of our episodes of that, you got the actual Marlins, Miami Marlins, maybe a team in the future to actually relocate I mean, we were talking about that, just
Sure.
speculating. We weren't saying that that's going to happen, but that was something that we were talking about.
I think the hard part is that's a pretty new stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to relocate I think there's a lot of taxpayer money and a lot
Sure.
of that. That's
Sure.
You'll see. I think you'll see Tampa Bay move before you see Miami move. And I don't know if you guys heard, Tampa Bay
In the
is.
Montreal Expos.
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work. Quite
I
frankly,
have no idea.
I mean-
Montreal didn't draw either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so in that, and that's the thing, especially Major League Baseball, and same thing with minor league baseball, right? this to get a team here again after a triple or a double A team left. It wasn't an easy task.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
Because they look at that, right? I mean, they saw the model in Montreal was failing. They left and they moved. Why would you go back into that same market if you haven't seen significant increases in it? Now, I see from the Tampa Bay point of view how it could work because you don't have 81 games in Montreal. You might only have 40 or however the heck they're going to do it. So it's kind of like football where you only have 16 games. Of course, you got to go to one of the games if you're a fan, right?
Right.
Sure.
So they could do that, but then what happens in the playoffs?
Yeah.
They're going to play one game in Montreal, then fly to Tampa Bay, then go to Oakland when they have to go on the road. You know what I mean? I
That'd
just
be
don't.
crazy.
I don't see how that works, and how do you differentiate which home field do you want to use? I mean,
Right.
you got two different fan bases, and I just don't.
And will the major leagues even let them?
They're letting them look at that option
They
as
are,
a possibility. That's was announced a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So with Tampa being kind of in the situation that Tampa's in, if that job were to come open, would that be something you would even be interested in with just how much of disarray that seems like it would kind of be?
So for me, I really like the minor league baseball business. So
Sure.
it's not as interchangeable to go from minor league to major league and major league to minor league. I always consider major league is more corporate.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You have an HR team. Our HR guy in New Orleans is, he's 25, and he's taking care of all the stuff, right? We're kind of a small business. The things that you want to do on an everyday basis. I have my hand in everything in Wichita, right? And what I mean by that is that if I have something I want to say about tickets or something I want to say about merchandise or something I want to say, I can say it. Doesn't mean they'll listen to it, but you don't even deal with that in the major league scene. So my brother-in-law works for the Athletics, and they're trying to get that brand new stadium and everything like that. He's the manager of he's the manager of the inside sales team, the core. But that's all he does. He has no say on the promotions. He has no say on what the merchandise is. And for me, I like it because it's like an unwritten, kind of work responsibility that I have. So to get to do all those experiences. So I will never say no, never. But the opportunity would have to be one of those opportunities in a lifetime that you're not going to get.
Right.
And I think that was the reason why I took the New Orleans gig. How many people get to rebrand?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Sure.
then now in 2.5 years, how many people get to create a new brand, which I've been part of the process since day one, and get to open a brand new stadium
Yeah.
and have a say in it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So 15 years from now, there's going to be something in that stadium that I decided, and I can tell my kids, and then eventually they'll tell their kids, or I'll tell my grandkids, that's what happened. I mean, you don't get that opportunity every day, and
Right.
especially Major League professional sports, it's a little bit more difficult because of how much money is in those entities.
Sure.
Which from what I understand, from the videos that I have seen, there are people who are not happy about the parking lot situation.
Yeah.
The one guy.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I mean, brought to tears
Yeah.
over God forbid you should be mildly inconvenienced. Let's have the city spend $750,000 on a
Sure.
new parking lot,
Yeah.
taking up a lot of commercial space, so
Sure.
that you and your daughter are not mildly
Yeah.
inconvenienced.
And here's the thing. I saw that too. And I don't know. I think there was something else because we only saw the part where he was crying, right? So,
Yeah.
so there might be something else where he's not as accessible as we are to walk it.
Yeah.
And that's me, thinking about. But the whole purpose of this project is to revitalize the downtown area.
Yeah, that
Right.
Delano area, yeah.
So, the goal is for you to go to Old Town, grab a beer, grab dinner, whatever you want. Hopefully grab dinner from us because it'll be relatively inexpensive.
Right.
But, go grab a beer, hop on the trolley, drop you off right at the stadium, take a scooter, take a bike. That's the whole purpose of this. Like, there's going to be surface parking.
Yeah,
Okay? There's just
sure.
not going to be 10,000 spots. Within a half a mile radius, there's 10,000 spots for you to park to come to the ballpark.
Yeah.
And there's all the public transportation that you would need to get there. I mean, I would assume that when the stadium is pretty much done, that the trolley routes have 4 trolleys, that will double.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think that's the thing is a little frustrating sometimes about it. Is I get it. I mean, I definitely would like to park close to wherever I'm going to be. If I get my haircut, of course I want to park right up to the haircutter thing.
Right.
But the whole ballpark experience is for you to walk around. I mean, you think about it. And I was thinking about this the other day. When you go to a ballpark, right, as opposed to going to a basketball game or going, and we're talking major league. You walk the ballpark.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
You
Every
see
time.
everything that is going on.
We just brought that up on our
I just
last
said
episode.
that last
yeah.
episode. Every time.
Yeah.
You've got
I
an
said
hour and a
we.
half.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I said we.
Did you
Way
did you
to
go
take
to
all
any
the
of the
credit
AA
for it.
games? Not AA games, but did you go to see any of the games at Lawrence Dumont before they tore it down?
No,
or-
I saw Lawrence Dumont right before it got torn down.
Okay.
And then I came back and I saw half of it was torn down. And then I came back and it was all gone.
I got to play in it
So-
It wasn't
multiple times.
bad state. It just
Sure.
It didn't have soul
Yeah.
to it. I want a place that's got some cool,
James Brown.
attractive. If they could only play James Brown music
Yeah.
and Aretha Franklin,
Yeah.
that would be
Sure.
great. But no, I totally agree with that idea. Parking lots are ugly. They're empty space, unused space, and they're usually hot.
Yeah.
Sun's just beating down on them.
Yeah.
Buildings provide shade.
It cost you
Shops
$10,
provide shade.
$20 to park in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the
I mean,
But-
there's going to
and-
be parking at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be
Right.
10,000 spots right next to the stadium.
right.
But like if you go to say Kauffman Stadium,
Sure.
unless you got a luxury box and you get the diamond level parking,
Yeah.
you're gonna walk a quarter mile,
Yeah.
half mile.
You're hiking.
You're gonna park a long ways away from
Sure.
the gate you're going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I will.
So-
I will say one of my. I know we talked about promotions earlier, and it was probably my favorite thing that I ever saw was at the independent team that they used to have here. They had the beer batter of the inning.
Yes. Yes.
And it was like the worst hitter on the team.
Yeah.
And if he struck out, I think beer was like half price.
Yep.
And you would see all these guys lined up, ready to take off to the concourse
Yep.
so they could go get their half price beer. And it was the most entertaining thing.
Yeah.
Some of them stumbling, falling over. It was great.
Rooting for their own guy to strike out.
Well,
No, it was the other team.
Oh, okay.
And the best part about that is when you go look that guy up, you go, oh man, this guy's 1 for 30 and he struck out 15 times in the last 18 at bats. Oh, that's our dude today.
Yeah.
He already feels bad, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's the beer batter guy.
At least he can make the stadium happy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're sitting at an hour. Let's wrap this thing up with the question that you get asked probably more than any other question of doing this whole ordeal. So what's the deal with the team name?
So, team name, you're looking at a late fall unveil
Okay,
for it.
that's
so,
Log November. What did you call it?
Logovember.
Logovember, that's what it was.
So you're looking at a late fall, probably November.
Okay.
We will start releasing some names to the public within the next couple weeks. So
Ooh.
there'll be about 7 names that we're going to release. Now, let me reiterate this. This is not a voting mechanism.
I was going to
Okay.
ask you that.
This is hey, these could be the names, and we're going to try to be a little bit more interactive with it. So, a lot of other teams will just throw 6 names at you, right, and say, or they've done it. And I'm not saying that's the right way or wrong way or
That's how
whatever
Bodie
it is.
McBoatface happened.
Yeah. So, I think for us, because of it's a very unique situation and the excitement for the team, and I think at the end of the day, whatever the team name is, this city is going to support.
Sure.
Unless it's something ridiculous, which I will assure you it's not.
I had a real problem with this last team, the Wingnuts.
Yeah.
Because they put it up to a vote to the city and then
Sure.
went with something that they didn't,
So-
went with a name they didn't put up
And
for
that's
the vote.
what's happened the last 2 votes of 2 other teams that did that. I think it was Colorado Springs and Gwinnett. They weren't the names. And, look, at the end of the day, like, I don't have 100% decision of what happens. Lou, our owner, decides what he wants to do. He's really good at giving us input, but, we're not going to be able to 100% do that. But the last thing we're going to do, going back to the brand, is put everyone's invested in voting on this name, and then all of a sudden, well, we don't trust you guys with whatever the name was going to be. We're going to do whatever. That's not a good look.
No,
Right.
yeah. How many
So-
hats and shirts are you going to sell? And
Yeah. So we're gonna go with we'll have 7 names, and then they'll be released every 2 weeks leading up to the unveil. How we're gonna do that? We're gonna get interactive type of things like that. I gotta finalize that in the next 2 weeks, but mid-November is gonna be when we're gonna unveil. So we want to do everything at the same time. We want to do team name. We want to do logos. We want to show you the uniforms. We want to show you everything that you're going to get right there and then. And then our merchandise store is going to be open.
Boom, there it is.
That'd be awesome.
So we were talking like local stuff would be like like you came up with the keepers, like the keeper of the planes.
I came up with the keepers, and I came up with the Wichita lineman as a joke. I was actually doing that to kind of piss both of you off.
Yeah.
And what I say, the keepers I think is a good idea. We're famous for BTK, so maybe the Stranglers.
Oh God, that's awful.
Stranglers or the meth heads. We got a lot of those.
Now, I did like the Scotty had come up with the idea of the Wicked.
Okay.
That name with the Wizard of Oz theme. I like it. I honestly really like the name Baby Cakes.
Yeah.
That's
an interesting story.
It's an interesting name. That's kind of a unique New Orleans thing, though, isn't it?
So king cake, right?
Yeah, so it's literally the baby that comes out of the king cake. Now, we couldn't, people are like, well, why didn't you call yourself the king cake? Well, if you ask someone about king cake in New Orleans, they're going to say, well, what bakery are you talking about? Mm-hmm. Right? So we want to differentiate ourselves from that shuffle, right? And so Baby Cakes, hey, we made the name up. That's the minor league baseball team.
Right.
And so when you explain it that way to people, when you actually explain the term, oh, okay, especially some people from New Orleans too, because it plays off the Mardi Gras tradition.
Right. Sure.
And everyone thinks Mardi Gras is one day. It's actually about 2 months. Mm-hmm. It obviously gets, as you get closer and closer to the day, the parades ramp up in there, but it's a very family oriented thing, believe it or not.
I remember when my mom would show her boobs for beads. And,
there you go.
That's how I was conceived.
That's awful.
My mom thought I needed a lot of beads. Yeah. She did it a lot. It's just what's her thing.
Well, for what it's worth, I mean, this is probably the cleanest show I think we've ever done.
Oh, sure. That's because he did most of the talking.
By far. And he did that on purpose. Actually, the whole reason, it was kind of a funny story. Whenever we did our last episode, I knew me and you were talking, and I was really wanting you to come on the show. And I told the guys before the last episode, I was like, we got to be ourselves, but I kind of want to tone it down a little bit because I want to send this episode to Bob because I think he'd be a little bit more open to this episode as opposed to the one before that, which was absolutely just, I don't even know what you would call it.
Yeah. It was shameful on Scotty's part with the assumptions that he was making.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to. I'm not Scotty.
Yeah. Right. But anyways, that's all I have for me. But do any of you guys have anything at all that you're going to ask him?
No.
Let's see. I did have an interesting question. Is it 2 questions? One, so technically, out of everybody, is Jeter your boss?
No, actually, Jeter is not our boss at all.
Okay.
That's so separate. Like Marlins operations are Marlins operations. Our boss, my boss, or bosses, should we say, it goes Lou, owner.
Okay.
It goes Jay, president. And it goes Jared, who's the GM, and then it goes me. So everything goes through them. I still haven't got to see Jeter. I missed him by 5 minutes, I guess, at the winter meetings in Vegas last time. Something came up.
He's not that great.
Yeah. But no, he's not our boss, but we obviously interact with him because of our partnership.
Sure.
So.
And my last question, which is kind of something that we talked about on the show before. You sound like quite a pretty big baseball guy just in general.
Sure.
Like they had that big deal this year with Kyler Murray. Was he going to play football or baseball? We don't think he was going to be that great of a baseball prospect. How do you think he would have panned out? I mean, he was 270 hitter in college.
Sure.
With metal bats. I mean,
it's hard to tell because when they're drafting these guys, it's not the complete package on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something that they see. I think the thing about it is we'll never know. His agent at the end of the day said, "Hey, this is going to be your biggest payday if you do this." Right. And that's the one thing I think about it too. When you look at the dynamics of how things work, he's guaranteed that money, and he's going to play in the NFL for at least a year, 2 years, whatever that's going to be immediately. Mm-hmm. You get drafted, you're not guaranteed major league playing time. You might not see it for 10 years.
Yeah,
you might never see it. You might go up. You might go up one day, and you'll never go up ever again. So the uncertainty, I can understand. Hey, this is a payday. I'm going to get this no matter what. Mm-hmm. So if you say, hey, I'm going to give a kid $25 million right away, or you can wait 6 years and potentially get $250 million, what are they going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and that's the kind of the mentality. I mean, that's why you think about the athletes that we do have in football, we do have in basketball, and some of these other sports. You know, they're getting that money right away, and you know they're getting recruited hard for it. I mean, we have a kid on our League 42 team. I would say if he really works hard at it, he could be really good. But I know he's going to get approached for football. He's going to get approached for track. And in a society we live in, here's $25 million right now, or you can potentially get $250 million. What are you going to do?
Plus track guys get all the chicks.
Oh yeah, that's
Sure.
But
Usain Bolt is really he's really getting women.
He's dripping in the ladies. Yeah.
so let them know where they can find you on Facebook or Instagram and put in your plug, man.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just follow us at Wichita Baseball 2020 on Facebook and Instagram, and then just Wichita Baseball on Twitter.
Awesome.
And I do run all those at the moment. So, I think the one thing we all want to make sure that we do is if you guys have questions or people, we respond.
Sure.
But yeah, you could do that, and then
You respond.
Yep, I respond. You can also follow me on Twitter, the Bobby Mo Show.
Awesome.
Or Bobblehead, whatever it is. LinkedIn is a big one too. I pretty much connect with everyone on LinkedIn. I see, unless they look kind of weird, or something like that.
Thank
You're,
God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not getting connected on LinkedIn.
Nope. I'm out.
So, but any of that stuff, and then WichitaBaseball2020.com right now, and then as we get closer, we'll have our updated socials and,
Awesome.
and website and stuff.
And what's the new website? I tried.
WichitaBaseball.com. We didn't take the 2020 out.
If I could make a suggestion for the opening day of next year, have you ever considered a T-ball legend to throw out the first pitch?
You know what? We'll see what we can do.
Defensive legend.
Yeah.
You can still try out for the team, Jeremy.
I'm not gonna, but I sure could.
Well, again, man, thank you very, very much for coming on. We sincerely appreciate it. We like what you're doing. We love what we're hearing about this new team that's coming to this
We're
area.
all very super excited.
Yes, especially us three. But anything that we can do to help spread the word, we would definitely do
Cool.
that too.
Yeah,
So,
thank you for having me on.
No,
and
absolutely.
It was a great
Absolutely.
conversation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that was going to wrap it up for today. Like we always say, do us a favor. If you like us, let your friends know. And if you don't like us,
Tell your enemies.
all right, until next time, guys,
Take that filter off and make it dirty.
we'll see you. Take care.